Dubai International Chamber, one of the three chambers operating under the umbrella of Dubai Chambers, is on a mission to expand investments within the East African region as part of the New Horizons initiative. This initiative aims at supporting the expansion of the chamber's members into global markets. In this Invest Rwanda edition, I am joined by Mohammad Ali Rashed Lootah, President and CEO of Dubai Chambers, and Stephen Ruzibiza, the CEO of the Rwanda Private Sector Federation, to understand more on the investment opportunities that these two countries are seeking from each other. As always, my name is Eugene Anangwe, and welcome to this episode. I want to start off, first of all, with you, Mr. President. Of course, you are on a mission to try and expand for the chambers or the members of the chambers into international territory or markets. Rwanda, Kenya is top of your list, and I want to just understand, what is it that is creating this appetite for this region?
We are trying to apply what was clearly mentioned in the new economic agenda of Dubai. It's called D33. A very progressive, ambitious economic agenda to increase the foreign trade by doubling it. One of the main areas mentioned in our economic agenda is the African market. Therefore, we're trying to put a lot of effort in bringing a lot of companies into the African market to look at investment opportunities, how we can increase the bilateral trade among both markets. Today, we're starting our roadshow in East Africa, coming to Kigali. We have 18 companies accompanying us from Dubai, and with meetings exceeding 100 B2B meetings. We work closely with our partners, Rwanda Development Board and the Private Sector Federation, to arrange these meetings, along with the Consulate of Rwanda in Dubai. The main purpose is to try to drive the bilateral trade and investment to different limits, to increase it. Currently, we have a very healthy growth. Last year, in 2022, we witnessed 33% growth in bilateral trade between Rwanda and Dubai specifically. This is unprecedented growth. So that's why we're here today, starting from Kigali, concentrating on East Africa to try to be aligned with our economic agenda, help introduce local companies from Dubai to investment and trade opportunities here, and even introduce what Dubai can offer to Rwandan businessmen to penetrate either Dubai market or the region through Dubai.
Right. I want to hear from the CEO of the Private Sector Federation that you're working closely with. Stephen, I think I want to understand how you feel, first of all, especially Rwanda being one of the spotlight countries that they are seeing as one of the countries to invest in or expand in across East Africa. What is the magic that the Private Sector Federation has done to get this kind of spotlight?
There is no magic. It's the normal of doing things through partnership with different stakeholders. Bilateral trade is a concept of international business trade, where business have to meet with assistance of stakeholders like the Chamber of Commerce, like Rwanda Private Sector Federation, the governments of the two states, to facilitate smooth flow of services, goods, and even manufacturing. So there is nothing much because people are doing their mandate, basically. So it is within their terms of reference that they have to facilitate trade, which we are doing today, with removing any unknown obstacles, and those can be only be removed by engagement like these ones, where we make sure the business operators meet, and you may not remove 100%, but at least you reduce on the size of brokers and the commercial middlemen and middlewomen, if I may be gender sensitive.
Interesting to say that, because it's not so surprising to hear that there's no magic in how Rwanda does what it does, because most of the things are done naturally in terms of achieving perfection in that sense. But Mr. President, I want to understand also from where you sit, what are the things you're looking for? Because at this point, you are also scouting for opportunities of investment. Just if you can allow us, in your mind and in the members' mind and those who you're bringing here, what are they looking for them to now come and say, we've settled on this investment?
First of all, we'd like to know more, either through our partners and even through the private sector, what are the bankable investment opportunities? We witnessed a growth in terms of inward investment coming from Dubai to Rwanda since 2018. Yeah. So the total number of investment from Dubai to Rwanda was around 211 million US dollars. How can we do more of this? How can we align the investment opportunities with what Rwanda has in their strategic plan and with what Dubai has in their economic agenda? ICT is one of the sectors, for example. How can we help in the digital transformation opportunities? How can we get the private sector from Dubai, along with the private sector in Rwanda, to do either joint ventures or jointly develop some part of the soft infrastructure here? So I think one of the most important things, similar to the CEO mentioning, is we need to engage more, we need to collaborate more to understand exactly what are the opportunities. In addition to that, we need to really promote some of the very clear investment opportunities that will have a direct impact. Why? Because we believe that having successful series of investment will encourage more investments to come. Correct. And follow.
Yeah, interesting you say that. But then, CEO, also, if I was to facilitate a bilateral agreement to be signed here in this space that we are in, because he says we are looking to what can be done for us to further the amount of investment that has been happening. CEO, what would you say that already the Private Sector Federation is doing, or is already available, to spur this level of investment?
The two countries, are not at the same level of development. They are different stages of development. But that is not to say that the Rwandan business community doesn't have anything to take to UAE or Dubai. Correct. So far as we speak, we have over 10 countries that have registered business in Dubai, and they're doing businesses in Dubai. Much as we have more than that, Dubai companies established in Rwanda. So in terms of what would really the private sector do is, one, encourage both countries, both business people from UAE, Rwanda, to do much of the investment across the two countries, both bilaterally or even individually, either through partnerships, through joint ventures, through a number of business setups that can enhance businesses. Two is access to finance. How do we make sure that these two business people we are supporting can easily access finance to invest across each countries? And if you are likely to moderate and coordinate a bilateral agreement, I would want to see that one inserted in the agreement. Right. I hope you promise to do that.
I promise that we can sign it here as we leave the studio. But Mr. President, I want to understand also from where you sit, in terms of the sectors, you mentioned ICT, but it can't be ICT alone, right?
Rwanda is very strong when it comes to agriculture, but I think one of the important areas that both countries are having a lot of similarity in is the tourism. You know, Dubai is a leading destination globally when it comes to tourism. So how can the tourism sector in Dubai help in having some development and investment opportunities in Rwanda? This is one. A second opportunity would be the MICE industry. So what would be the business tourism, exhibitions, conferences that maybe we can do together more to drive traffic when it comes to business delegations. In addition to that, food processing. Dubai is very strong in that, and we know that majority of exports that come to us, to Dubai from Rwanda, is coffee and tea and some fruits. How can maybe we understand more of investment opportunities that we can do value addition here, and then exporting processed food rather than raw material, which will definitely help in creating jobs and magnify the investment value.
Yeah, I want us to park just right there, especially on the investing in value addition here. That has been a very key asking point, especially for local producers, because what we do here majorly is exporting the raw material and then it comes back as finished product. What has happened in that front from an actualization perspective?
Always value addition helps a lot. It helps the GDP, it helps in creating jobs, and it have a bigger impact in the economy as a overall. I think it is very key for us to really understand where are the ready opportunities that maybe we can promote it to some of our members in Dubai Chamber, and they can explore investing in. This is one. A second sector that I think will really play a big impact on the bilateral cooperation is the services sector. Services sector is very important, and it's closely tied to what Rwanda is trying to do in positioning itself as a global transportation and logistic hub, at least in the African continent. The services sector is important. We have DP World already in Rwanda. What does the Rwandan market require when it comes to investment in services sector? So how can we really promote that? This is one. Second thing is, when it comes to some of the important sectors that cut across, real estate is one of them. Real estate can be utilized as hotels that will serve tourism or the business tourism, or it can serve as you know, housing development. So what are the opportunities in this field, and how can we really understand more about it? So I think it's very essential to highlight the top investment opportunities, try to create more of a momentum of success stories that will encourage more inward investment, because usually an investor will bring a group of SMEs along with him to do a lot of work and subcontracting, which will create more traffic moving forward.
Right. Interesting you say that. CEO, you want to point to some of the answers to the questions he actually posed in his statement?
There's one important thing he has mentioned.
Yeah.
What did the two countries share?
Correct.
In Rwanda, tourism is one of them, agriculture. But when I focus much on ICT, in Rwanda we have software developers who can be utilized in Dubai or UAE for purposes of re-export. So because we are doing much of service. Second, in his opening statement, he mentioned the increase in terms of trade, which is almost 40% of the trade. That could have been bigger if we didn't have COVID interferences. So you can imagine if at the current from 2022, we are about 50% of the trade between the two countries, what could have happened in previous years. Now, that to move forward, because we have to catch up for the lost period. All the sectors that we have mentioned, be the real estate, be the logistics, be manufacturing, agro-processing, that means a lot of efforts has to be done for purposes of catching up. And that will need one, finance, two, human capacity capital, so that we have much of the human interventions and the interfacing for purposes of doing it now. That will work because today trade is not being done in isolation. It has to be done with the first person to do the innovation. It will be the first person or the first country to survive. We used to do the trade, the wrong trade, distant trade. You're depending on boats, you're depending on number of logistics. But today, if you don't bring goods or services near your clients, near your customers, to cut on the costs that are involved, then you are likely to be swallowed from the business establishment. So from what we are discussing now is how do we bring goods that are coming from Dubai to Rwanda, or services, instead of you cut on the cost, you cut on the time, so that now you have services and goods in Rwanda, just to make sure, like you asked, in terms of value chain. Yeah. What is it that now can, instead of being imported from Dubai, can be set up in Rwanda and you have it here, maybe import a few percentages to enhance it. Same applies with Rwanda. Today, Rwanda, Dubai is one of the first, I think it is #1 export destination for Rwanda. But how do we have a mad service center, Rwandan mad service center set up in Dubai? Instead of making an order, you have the logistic challenges, you have cancellations. How do we make sure that the client in Dubai receives Rwandan products in Dubai without going through the middle people, middle person. So that is the innovation, I think, which is the most important for purposes of surviving in the business setup.
Well, what's missing, Mr. President, for that to happen?
I think more collaboration, and definitely we need to have the right infrastructure in place, and to work closely with the federation and with the private sector, because at the end of the day, the private sector will keep driving this. And I think it's we need the private sector to be engaged, and we need the model to be resilient, because it's very important, because demand and supply always shift depending on changes in the global market. So it's very important to have it based on the demand of the private sector, both sides.
Right.
So as long as the infrastructure is there and the traffic is there happening with the private sector, so both of us should ensure that whatever facilities and infrastructure, the correct one is in place, and then the private sector should drive the movement.
Yeah. CEO, what are you committing to achieving this?
Private sector engagement, because business will depend on demand and supply. Supply actually comes as an effect of demand. Do we have request? So private sector is there. The beauty of this, things can collapse, but businesses never collapse. I think that is one of the most surviving element in human history. So private sector engagement, the Rwandan demand is there in terms of the country demanding investors, and also in terms of consumption, people demanding the consumable services and goods. So the commitment is there.
Commitment is there. I want to ask this, because we've seen from the trends through the global shocks that we continue to see, which will not end today. And you mentioned the issue of resilience, very key. But we've seen a lot of global cutback on investment, especially within the African continent. But here you are trying to expand, to say, okay, we want to invest across Africa, particularly the Eastern Africa region. When you sit and look at the reduction in the FDI to the region, and you want to actually expand within your members, what's informing your decision, basically?
First of all, the growth rates that we're witnessing in Africa, regardless of, as you mentioned, I'm quoting what you just said, that the reduction in terms of FDI, the growth rates are high when it comes to GDP. The increased number of talent. Africa now is a talent exporter, not only in ICT, based on what the CEO mentioned, across different skilled jobs. I think what's really missing is having a solid pipeline of serious investment opportunities, especially the bankable investment opportunities. And I think to be able to finance such opportunities, we'd require to work closely with the partners. I think it's more of a win-win situation, rather than we cannot expect all of the opportunities will be attractive, but I think the most important thing is to really have a very healthy and open engagement and dialogue. So, okay, if we see a lot of interest coming on ICT, and both of us are planning something around agriculture, then we should make the private sector supporting the demand, and we should be very resilient as federation or chamber to relook at our priorities and consider having investment opportunities in ICT. One of the challenges that always remain is that the investment opportunities are only pushed one way, which I agree totally with what the CEO mentioned, is that it should be driven by the private sector.
Right.
So as long as it's aligned with the strategies of the country as one of the top sectors, and with either tax holidays or exemptions or discounts, we should really be very resilient and concentrate on what the private sector would like to concentrate on. Because at the end of the day, they are the one who are putting the investment to take it further.
So what you're saying, yes, see
maybe if I may chip in, not from me, but for any investor, there are certain boxes that you have to tick before you make a decision. And one of them could be the government involvement?
Yeah.
Do we have right incentives that the government is providing?
Correct environment.
The correct environment. Do we have affordable labor? If I'm going to invest, how much one has to incur and survive the business? Two, do you have a return on investment? If I am putting in this much, how much am I getting back and in what period?
Yeah.
So if you look at yes, there will be hesitations, pessimism in terms of investment. That has been there even before. But if you look at those boxes, if I am investing, that's why I said whoever takes the decision now is likely to survive better than the hesitations that are happening now. So if I take the example of Rwanda, if you look at the Rwandan government, for instance, the incentives they are providing, and if you look at the government programs like the Blueprint, the NST1, the private sector-based economy, job creation, what incentives they are giving in respective agricultural sectors or investment industrialization sectors. So those are some of the elements that any other investor has to look at and say, right, this is maybe the right moment when everyone else is holding back to go and invest and probably come on top of it.
Yeah, but while you still have the mic, the President mentioned here the issue of, sort of a win-win situation is very important here. And as we talk of win-win, I know this is not a beauty contest of who is actually investing more as far as Dubai, UAE is concerned and Rwanda is concerned. But there is someone who probably sits back and asks, okay, fine, we're seeing the potential investors coming to seek opportunities to invest in Rwanda. How is it like from the Rwandan side going to UAE? Probably, CEO, you could share with us in terms of the appetite for local private sector investors seeking investment opportunities in the UAE. I know I'm asking this also understanding there was a roadshow just a couple of months ago. Talk to us a bit about the fruits from that labor.
Thank you. So far as I mentioned, we have around 13 companies that the Rwandan origin that are doing business in Dubai. During the trade show, actually, we were able to register a logistic company. It's registered across most of the import countries, China, now Dubai. And they are dealing in facilitating imports, logistics, clearing, buying, and have the warehouses. So it took about a week to register. So, and finally now they have offices and they're operating. For those who are registered and they are doing business so far, we don't have any complaint from them because they are frustrated. There are rules and regulations that any other person has to abide by. So we are not saying misbehave and survive in that environment. But so far, the ones we have, they are doing it. In terms of other benefits from the red shows, you go to more markets for Rwandan products. Horticulture is one of them, and they are doing it. Mining, minerals, they are also being exported, but there are people also who are dealing in textiles, fabrics, who were able to bypass the middle people and went directly to big warehouses for direct buying, and you cut on the cost.
Interesting. And about you, in the area of entrepreneurship, it's also another untapped area. But I'm speaking or asking this also knowing that VC investments across Africa has also gone down in that sense. But I want to know, even as you look through the areas of investment, what are you hearing, what are you seeing on this area of entrepreneurs?
I see a big opportunity for technology startups from Africa to utilize a platform that we have. It's called Expand Northstar. We just concluded the second version of it, which happened end of October this year. Expand Northstar is an exhibition for technology startups that had a participation of more than 1,800 tech startups from more than 100 countries, with investors counting up to 1,000 investors, managing investment with more than $1 trillion. So what we're keen to do is, how can we leverage on this and invite more Rwandan technology startups to participate in the next version in next October, to be able to get VC investments and funds into their technology startups and grow through what Dubai can offer as a global player when it comes to digital economy. So we're very keen to have more participants, especially after having one of the sub-events in this exhibition called Africa 100.
Yeah.
So we had 100 technology startups from Africa pitching their ideas, meeting investors and getting funds. So we'll be very keen to do the same and to see and to witness more participants from Rwanda next year.
Right. In closing, CEO, what is it that needs to be done to ensure that his trip, your trip over the UAE for the roadshow does not just go in vain?
That's the next question. Talking MOUs, period, must come to their end, and we have more private sector doing their business. So me and him have to get out of the queue and let the business people start doing their own business. So what needs to be done is continuity of this, and we see the feedback return.
All right. Mr. President, what about you?
Same. We already have a performance measurement on us to ensure that every mission that we go on has conversion and success stories. And then we build up on this success stories, and we'll try to encourage more people to do that. We'll continue engagement with Rwanda, and we hope to see the numbers of bilateral trade and investment grow.
I want to thank both of you for making time, especially on short notice. Thank you for making time to speak to us right here on CNBC Africa. And that does it on this special edition of Invest in Rwanda, right here on CNBC Africa. As always, my name is Eugene Anangwe. Goodbye for now.